It's an unnecessarily high amount of carbon that is being used to create that plaster. Why do we use clay plasters in our internal wall insulation systems? So Andy, we do quite often get asked, why are we using clay plasters when other people are talking about lime plasters and all the other things? So why do we?
Yeah, so the main thing is that the interface between the insulation and the masonry is nice, snug fit, no gaps between the two. So one way or another, fundamentally, that is what we're trying to establish.
Okay.
There's a couple of ways to do it. In some instances, depending on the existing type of plaster, and if it's already a smooth finish, then you can actually dry fix the boards without needing another sort of intermediate wet plaster trade. Obviously, that might require some surface preparation first to sort of clean it from molds and whatever else. But fundamentally, it's possible. There's also a sort of choice if a plaster is needed to either plaster the wall flat, which tends to be what we prefer, or to adhesively fix the boards. Lots of people choose the adhesive method. Usually that involves using a sort of notched trowel to set the depth of plaster on the back of the board and then adhesively fixing it to the wall. One of the issues with that is the furrows left in the plaster from the notched trowel don't always fully close up, and so the very mechanism of ensuring no gaps actually designs gaps.
Creates gaps,
We tend to find it much better to apply the plaster first, get a nice flat surface on the wall, and then dry fix the boards. That allows a lot of moisture to come out of the wall first, so you've got that nice...
we found that woofy, didn't we? Through our woofy modelling, we found a lot of moisture retained in the plaster behind the board.
Which will dry, but it's intermediately sort of more onerous to have this sort of wet plaster behind all the insulation. And then really it comes on to what type of plaster that we can use. There's several options available to us, but we obviously prefer clay plaster. Do you want to let us know why?
Yeah, so, and the reason for that really is about the embodied carbon. The whole point of trying to insulate your house is to reduce carbon emissions. If you remove plaster and then put really high embodied energy materials like lime plasters back on the wall, I mean, yes, okay, in the long term it creates a perfectly well-functioning system, but it's an unnecessarily high amount of carbon that is being used to create that plaster. Clay plasters are just a little bit, generally, they're quite often beneficial. They're a little bit better at moisture buffering than limes. The processing is minimal, so the embodied carbon in clay plasters is very, very, very low. And also, the reason that we did it originally actually was it makes the whole thing reversible. So if you do ever want to remove the system from the wall, which in historic buildings can be an issue, then you can remove it, and all you're left with is a few sort of holes where the fixings have gone in, and the clay plaster can simply be washed off. So there's lots of reasons, but ultimately it's all about embodied carbon.
Yeah, really good point. So clay plasters, easy to work with for a DIYer.
Very.
Some potential benefits in terms of the way that clay buffers and transfers moisture, and in terms of overall functioning of the system, good to get the plaster on first, let it dry fix the boards. Works really well.
Brilliant.
Good.